Hello, everyone. How's it going? Oh, what a great day. Wow, we got a lot of people popping into the feed here. See here, we got Pink Clouds, Koosh, Matias, the Goji Man, Boxer, Stephen Well, Too Much Dog, Antonio Tamburo, David, Jayla Duke, Lobel, Seesaw, T, Jay Sean, Redbeard, Board Gaming Crew. Hey, the Board Gaming Crew. How's it going, guys? And Redbeard. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How is everybody doing today? Give me a thumbs up if you're still in the lobby and haven't just scrolled past. Got some cool things to talk about today. Glad the Board Gaming Crew is joining too. We're going to be hearing a little bit more from these guys very, very soon when it comes to Cities of Venus. So I've got several people here in the lobby. Oh, thanks, Redbeard. Appreciate the thumbs up. By the way, if you're seeing me here on TikTok, if you're not currently following me, please smash the follow button. I really do appreciate it. It helps me feel like people actually care about my content. I put out a TikTok today, which I'm going to get into in a moment as well. I'll give you the kind of the expanded version of it. But it was a pretty cool insight that I wanted to share on doing Kickstarters. And if there's anybody out there doing Kickstarters, and if anybody listening right now, if you have done a Kickstarter or plan to do a Kickstarter or have one coming up, do me a favor, just put a KS in the comments so I know there's certain people. So if there are people that do Kickstarters, then I can kind of slant some of my comments that way. Otherwise, if it's just people in general just interested in Cities of Venus, then I'll talk about that as well. All right. So first and foremost, let me show you what's got me just jazzed today. And the Board Game Enthusiast joined again. Tabletop Vibes is in the house. How's it going, buddy? All right, so I've just started. I got something really cool to share. We got a new milestone today. $90,000 we hit on our campaign. Hey, Hannah, how's it going? We are just so excited. Adam and I were high-fiving today. This is obviously the largest campaign we've ever done. But this was... I'll certainly remember you when I'm famous. Thanks, appreciate it. If you guys don't mind, smash the follow button if you're here on TikTok. I really appreciate that. 90,000 is incredible. We're very, very happy. We've never hit a six-figure campaign yet. That we've done 5. This is our 6th campaign. This is in Canadian dollars, so obviously if you're watching from the States, the numbers are much smaller. But in our humble Canadian dollars, we're pretty excited. We've never done a 6-figure campaign. We're approaching that very quickly. The math pretty much says now that we will, in fact, cross 100,000 by the end of this campaign. We're only in day 11. So it's 11th. We're in day 9 of this campaign, 28 day campaign. Our goal is 20,000. So we smashed the goal. We are, 4.5x our goal. Very, very happy on how big we've made this. This is super exciting for us. I'm going to explain why I know we're going to cross the 6-figure mark. And let me share another screen here. So I was pulling up some other numbers. This is another campaign that we did a few years ago, much smaller, obviously. But what you can see is you got this reverse bell curve, right? And this isn't just campaigns I've done. This is, so let's look at the dollar figure. So here's a dollar figure. You can see kind of the dollars coming in. Let me see if you guys can see that. Yeah. Let me bring it down a little bit more. So you can see the dollar figures coming in over the campaign. It is, you got this reverse bell curve. Well, that was one of my other campaigns. Well, let's look at another campaign. So To Glory. These guys are finishing in the next 20 hours. Pretty cool game, actually. To Glory, check them out. It's a little pirate ship game where you're actually firing physical cannonballs at each other. Oh, Stephen Hill joined. One of our team members in the house. Stephen. Can't wait to see you at Board Game Night tomorrow. So you can see there's this reverse bell curve they had too. This is very consistent. So these guys are going to hockey stick in their last 24 hours. Their last day of their campaign, you can see there where it just goes blank. That number is going to be roughly probably the same size as their day 2 that they had on their campaign. And every single campaign follows this curve, this path. So that's why we know, if you look at us, if I go back to, I only type in Cities of Venus up here real quick, find a project, Cities of Venus. And I'll show you where we're at right now. Okay, so here's the cities of Venus. Let me go to our daily data. Okay, so we're at the beginning of our curve, right? And based on how this curve is going and where we are at right now, we're only just over a quarter into our campaign. Hannah just said, reminding me of watching a math teacher. I'll keep the math short. I just want to show you kind of the pictorially why we know that if we're already at 90,000 and we're at the first quarter of this, and it's going to dip down and it's going to keep dipping down, and there'll be some dragging days. Today was one of those days that went kind of slow. It's going to hockey stick in the back end, and that's going to push us over 100,000. So the question is, how far over 100,000 are we going to go? This is the golden question. I don't know. I don't know how far over we're going to go. I think the math is saying we're probably going to be in around, safely, I think we're going to hit about 115 Canadian dollars. Could go as high as 125. It all depends on how this next week goes. If we continue to do $1,000 days where we've never gone below $1,000 yet, and we have a big rally in kind of those last 72 hours, my fingers crossed. What I really, really want to do is I want to hit the six-figure club in US dollars. That's for me, that is the pinnacle of what would make me happy in this campaign. Clearly, I'm ecstatic with where we're at right now. And where we end, I'm going to be very, very happy regardless, because we've already gone way beyond what we expected. So we're very happy. Take care, Hannah. Thanks for coming by. So that was number one I want to talk to you. Just want to say thank you. So everybody's watching that supports on this campaign so far, thank you so much for helping us get there. Anybody that's interested in this game, please go to Kickstarter, type in Cities of Venus, and check out the campaign. I'm going to show you the campaign page in a second. We're very, very excited about it. The second thing I want to talk about today, and I'm going to make this stream shorter. I know the past couple have been like 2 hours, so I'm going to try to keep this under an hour tonight. I got to get up really, really early. The thing I talked about today on TikTok, and I did a quick little video as a kind of a Kickstarter tips, and it was revisiting the first Kickstarter tip I put on TikTok about, I think it was in the summer of last year I did that tip. And it's kind of a redux. I wanted to kind of revisit it because I've updated it a little bit. But here's basically what the Kickstarter tip is. If you are running a campaign, and no matter the size of the campaign you're running, you should always try to make sure that you either send a thank you to the people as soon as they back. And I know in the first couple of days like us, we had like 500 people in the first day. It was impossible to respond to all those people. But Kickstarter has a new function where it actually has an automated like survey that goes out, and you can edit that survey, and the survey just, as soon as somebody pledges, it automatically goes, says, thanks for your pledge. Can you please help us by filling out the survey? And it helps us understand kind of where the pledges are coming from. And what that survey does by sending it as a message, even if somebody drops their pledge, you can go into the history of sent messages and you can still reach out to that person. So if like a year ago, if you hadn't done that and that automation wasn't there, that person would be gone. If you hadn't previously reached out to them after they pledged, no way to contact them. So you want to have some kind of immediate engagement of that person through the messaging part of Kickstarter on the back end, whether it's saying thank you or sending them the survey, which can be automated, anything along those regards. What that does is then now when somebody drops out of your campaign, you have the ability to still reach out to them. I'm surprised at the number of times I've talked to people who've done Kickstarter campaigns who do not reach out to people that have dropped their pledge. And I've done this now on a few campaigns. And again, I'm doing it right now again on this one. So I'm going to talk about the numbers, again, a little bit of math. But from my experience, anywhere from 10 to 15% of those people are recoverable. So the question I asked on my TikTok today was, if somebody offered to pay you $1,200 for an hour and a half worth of work, where you had to write some emails, would you do it? Most people probably would. Right? Unless you're a baller and you don't need the cash. But most of us, $1,200 for an hour and a half, I'm in. Well, that's essentially what we're talking about, right? So this campaign, the average pledge is between $110 and $140. And we had a lot of people drop out, right? Because you're going to have that. That's just part of the game, right? People come in, people come out. after a few campaigns, you realize it's just the pattern that just happens. So it doesn't hit you as bad as it does the first time. Kind of take it personally the first time. But that's a lot of pledges that came out. So yesterday I spent an hour and a half and I reached out to 69 different people who had dropped out of our campaign. Of those, my current rate right now, and I'm tracking this. So since then, I've kept reaching out to people as they drop off because now things have slowed down. I can literally reach out to each and every person as we go. But I've reached out to now 84 people. So 84 people I've reached out to, and it's very simple. I just said, hey, I see you dropped your pledge. Just a reminder, if you pledged in the first 3 days, for 72 hours, we had that offer where you get the free first player mini. If you come back in today, I'm still going to honor that, right? Even though you technically have unpledged, then it's now a new pledge. I'm still going to honor that. We got some great reveals that are coming out. We just announced the solo mode. Just wait till Tuesday what you see what's coming on Tuesday. We got some really, really cool stuff coming. I really hope you can come back and help us get to the next level. It's no risk to you. If you can, it doesn't hit your card until the last day of the campaign anyways. And you're really going to help us with the algorithms and boosting our success now until when we actually get near the end of our campaign. It's going to help us kind of keep the momentum going. And I had 10 people come back and so forth. So I get a 12% recovery right now. So that is, I think we're at now $1,400 that we've recovered in lost pledges by just saying to people, hey, I noticed you dropped out. Do you mind coming back? And each of them are a little bit different, right? You try to make it as personal as possible. I had one that was someone that was in pretty local to me. I could see their address, so I could see the city that they were pledging from in their profile. I just said, hey, I'm a fellow Canadian. I'm not that far away from you. I'm in the same province. Man, I'd be really happy if you could support me on this, right? And help a small Canadian publisher. That person wrote back and said, oh my gosh, I was on the fence between you and another campaign. You know what? I appreciate that you're local. I want to support local guys. I'm back in. Another person I reached out to and just said, hey, again, about the whole mini thing. That person's like, you know what? The fact you reached out to me personally, I'm back in. That little personal touch is shocking. How many people will be like, you know what? This is just some small guy that's just trying to crank this out. This isn't some huge faceless corporation, and I want to support the little guy. So if any of you are doing this, please, I'm suggesting that you try it as well. So we got Reed in the house as well. I'm not sure if that's Reed Muscola or a different Reed, but interesting. I've never reached out to them. I've also never reacted to those messages. Wow. Yeah, so that's a good point, Reed. So that's why it's a 12% recovery rate and not 100% recovery rate, right? So of those 84 messages I sent, most of them just get ignored. People don't even respond. Next slide, they're on to the next one. It is from Reed Muscola, the man, the myth, the legend himself. So Reed, buddy, there's some advice. Do it. I've done on 2 campaigns. I did this on Nutty Squirrels as well. And on that campaign, quite frankly, it was out of desperation. We were trying to hit, it was a smaller campaign, and I really wanted to crack 50,000. We knew as we're getting in later into our campaign, it was more likely we're probably going to only hit 40. And then it was looking like it's going to be a struggle to hit the 40. And so I'm just like, screw it. I'm going to reach out to every person that, and in that campaign, because it's smaller, just because I'm a nice guy anyways, I was thanking every person that had backed the campaign. So I had that message history. So I reached out to them, and on that campaign, it was roughly 10% I was able to get back. So this is something that is part of our strategy now going forward. Every time we do a campaign, we always make sure, and by we, it's me, always make sure that I reach out to people and just say, hey, I'd really, really love it if you come back. So that's my little piece of wisdom that I'm sharing tonight. Reed saying, I'll definitely try that out in his next campaign. Great to have some stats. The cool thing, and those who don't know Reed Muscola, he's got 2 games coming. One is one that we're actually publishing called Catnip Auction House. It's available for pre-order right now. I don't have a box in front of me. Gosh, that would have been better planning. But if you go to tinrobotgames.com, and you will see a link there to Catnip Auction House. It's a fun, quick little bidding game. It's a lot of fun. And so we're going straight to market with that one. It's not Kickstarter. It's actually you can do it with pre-order on our campaign page. He also has a follow-up to Vigilante, which is I think is going to be really, really cool. What's the name of your Reed? If you could type in the comments what the sequel is called, and we'll give you a plug here on the sequel. But it's coming out, I think, in another month or two on Kickstarter. I'm excited for that one. I love social deduction games, and this one's got a lot of meat and heft to it, which is really cool. So I think a lot of people really like that. All right, so let's go over the campaign page. And thanks to everybody that's joined. We got Cindy, we got Bastio, we got Gingerbeard. I wonder what color beard you have. Killer Martini. Love the names. Epsy, Orford, Gambler, David Bouchard. Thanks for joining, guys. If you're coming in from TikTok or Instagram or even YouTube, do me a favor, please smash that follow button. We appreciate the followers. Helps us get our audience up and keep creating content, keep doing some lives. All right. I'm going to share my page again, and we're going to talk about the campaign. Again, we're talking today about Cities of Venus. This is a campaign we have running on Kickstarter right now. We've had a lot of great feedback from our backers, and we've really asked people, hey, if you have any cool ideas, throw them our way, because we're going to still build out more cards, more events, more cloud drops. We've got all these different things that we're doing, and there's still more art coming. So we've been soliciting people for their for the feedback, and I thought it was great. Hannah's back. Awesome. So Cities of Venus. So this is a game that we have. It plays 1 to 4 players, expands to 6. So we got 2 pledge levels. You can either get the 4-player version or the 6-player version. And the story here is we have each person has established a city that's floating in the clouds of Venus. So you have your own player board that you're going to manage. And Earth has been sending supplies and immigration in the form of what we call these cloud drops. They come from Earth, they come down through the clouds, and each of the cities is able to grab 1 canister per cloud drop. Your goal is to grow your city and not only make it healthy and kind of protect it from bad stuff that's happening, but at some point, there's been a tragedy. There's been something's happened on Earth. We don't know what, but we've lost contact. So we don't know when this last drop is actually coming from Earth. And there's a card that's shuffled into the last third of the deck that comes up, and it's the picture of the Earth, and it signifies that that's the last drop coming from Earth. So this game has a random kind of game end or end game mechanic. Got some questions here. So Hannah's saying, so this is an online game or like a board game? No, this is like a board game. Although there is an online version on Tabletop Simulator right now through Steam that's free to play, and it's all automated, so you can click a button and it'll kind of deal out the cards and everything for you. And you can play this right now with 2 to 4 players on Steam. This is a picture of what the board game looks like on a table. This is the 6-player version. The only thing missing from here is you actually get 6 volcano resource trays versus the 3 you see here in the game. You represent a president of this city. Basically, the winner of the game goes from being a governor of a city-state to becoming president of the Republic of Venus. You're in charge of the planet. Ha ha ha! Hafiz came in. Oh, we're getting some goodies in here. How's it going, Hafiz? We're going to probably see you at Produce Spiel in a few weeks too. I'm excited. Okay, so why back now? As I said, I'm just a little guy. I'm just a dude in my basement. My brother and I are co-designers on most of the games that we put out for Tin Robot Games, with the exception of the talented Reed Mascola, who's also in the lobby here. And so we're just 2 guys running this company. It's kind of a side hustle. It's something that we do out of passion. We're not driving Lambos. No one's getting rich off of board games, but we do it because we love it and we're passionate about it. And quite frankly, when you see somebody play a game that you've created and they have fun, oh man, it just hits you right there. There's no better feeling than that. I absolutely love it. So we have the basics of how to play this game. So first you have the drop that is coming. Oh, we got back from Reed. So Reed, it's Vigilante Hidden Motives. So that's the sequel, Vigilante Hidden Motives. Anybody in here that is still watching, including my sister just joined, that's cool. Do me a favor, look up Vigilante Hidden Motives, and Reed, give me a link at some point, and I'll try to share that as well. And it'd be great if people could pre-follow that campaign and give Reed some support. All right, so the drop. You have cards. First, you have the deck is set. You have the different phases set up. You deal out 5 cards. That's the first drop. Second thing you do, you resolve events. If you see a caution symbol show up on any card, you have to resolve an event. That is capped to the phase that you're in. If you're in phase 1, then the maximum events that you can resolve in a round is 1. Phase 2 is 2. Phase 3 is 3. Sam just asked a question. Can you link the Steam Online for your campaign? Yeah, if you actually go to the Kickstarter page and then just go to Kickstarter.com, type in Cities of Venus, you'll find this very easily. Scroll down to about, I think it's 3/4 of the way down. I'll actually show you on here. This is our page. There's a link straight to the Steam right there. So go right down to the bottom, all the way down. Look down, way down. Anybody remember the Jelly Green Giant? I miss those. I miss those shows. All right, and it's right. Oh gosh, we got reviews, and I think she's right down to the bitty bottom. I should maybe bring it up, so it's easier to find. Okay, there we are. So after our social media handles at the bottom of our Kickstarter page, there's a link to our tabletop simulator game. Okay, so let me go back up to how to play. I'm going to make this really fast. I'm going to zoom up. Okay, so we had the resolve events. After resolved events, you erode your shields. The clouds are acidic. They're constantly eroding your city. You can get some cool upgrades that allows you to kind of stop that from happening so that your shields are stable. They're not eroding. You can still get impacted by events, but it can stabilize your shields. Population growth, this is the engine of the game. So this is what's generating the people. And you need people to then populate the different areas of your station to innovate and so forth. So it's very, very important that you get that engine going quickly. It's the lowest number between your food, your water air departments. So in this case, you can see the image here. They got 4 in their food. They got 3 in their water and air. They get 3 VNaughts that they can then put the rest of their station. If they choose, they can innovate. So you can move up to 2 people per placement into your innovation station. Once you get 8 people there, you cash it in, you get an immediate upgrade that you can pick from the innovation market. And those are upgrades that are pretty powered. And they can help you do some really cool stuff. And then each of them come with victory points as well. There's the comments there. Then we go to our city actions. City action phase. This is where most of the guts of things happen. In the reviewer copies, there was actually 4 things you could do in this stage of the game. The final game will actually have a lot more stuff you can do. So the core things you can do is if you have a canister you've reserved, and I'll get into that in a second, how you can reserve canisters, you can pay the cost of that plus 1 mechanic, and you can install it in your station or activate it if it's a population booth. You can mine, and you can also spend 4 minerals to buy a VNaught to help you kind of replenish your population. You can do those in any order. You can do any of them. You don't have to do any of them, or you can do some of them or all of them. It's up to you. In addition to that, we have powers and upgrades that allow you to do certain things. So there's one we have right now that allows you to shuttle VNaughts around your station, up to 2 per turn. Right now, it's a VNaught laid as a VNaught played. So you can't move your people, but with this upgrade, you can do that. We have other ones that are going to allow you to send people up to your station from your city. In addition to the innovation stage, you can actually move people. We have tons of different things that are coming that you're going to be able to do during the city action phase. Then we get down to claim a canister. This goes in player turn order. So everything's been simultaneous up to this point. This game moves really, really fast. There's no downtime. We get to claim a canister. When you're claiming a canister, you essentially just, if you're the first player, your first pick of the litter, then it goes in player turn order. You have to pay the cost of what's on that card. You don't have to pay it right away, but you can't install it unless you do. So here's a card right here. I'll show you this one. So this is a card. So you can see on the side where my hand is over here. This is the cost. You have to pay a person from each of these departments. So this one actually has 3 people coming from water and air, 1 person from food, and you have to pay a mineral to get this card. You get this card. This one's a population booth. It allows you to add up to 8 people anywhere on your station. So there's different cards you have to pay the cost for. If you can't afford it right away, then what you do is you put it down in your holding area, which is the bottom part of your board, as you can see kind of just below my face frame here. And you can install it in a later round when you can afford it. The end of the game, as I said, when the Earth card comes up, that signifies the end of the game, and you are done and you score. Scoring is very simple. It's victory points on the cards. It's 1 victory point for every 2 VNaughts you have in your city, and 4 victory points for every 1 victory point for every 4 minerals that you have. That's it. It's very lean, very straightforward game in terms of The play style, it's very straightforward. We call it kind of a light, medium light Euro. It looks very robust and complex when you see it on a table because it takes up an entire table and it's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on. But once you go through those steps, and that's why we set those steps in sequence on the innovation card, so you can just follow them. And if everybody does that together, by the second round, you get it, and you're off to the races. Kick Tracks, if any of you are watching, if you could do me a huge favor, go to our Kickstarter page and click the Kick Tracks button. That will help us boost our ranking on the Kick Tracks page. That helps with pledges. I've seen at least 3 pledges come in just from the Kick Tracks page alone. So we want to kind of get on the hot list there, which is the top 25 projects every day. And it's based on traffic coming from Kickstarter to their page. So it's basically from people clicking these buttons. We do have big reveals coming every week. We've got 3 right now. So every Tuesday. We're working on a 4th. I'm not going to know. I just talked to the factory. I'm not going to know until Tuesday now if we can do it. But if we can do it, we're going to add a 4th, which is literally the day before campaign ends. And I mean, there'll probably be a little benefit to me out of that because it's going to be announced so late, but it's something I really want to do because it's super cool. And so if I can do it, I'm just going to do it. And so we got one every week. We've launched the first one, which is a solo mode. We launched that on Tuesday. We got another big thing coming this coming Tuesday. Some might say, well, why didn't you just announce the solo mode out of the gate? And the challenge with Kickstarter, and I showed at the beginning of this video, that kind of reverse bell curve where you have a big spike at the beginning, big spike at the end, and kind of it just goes into like a bowl in the middle. The problem is if you don't keep the conversation up going throughout your campaign will start to fizzle very fast and people start jumping ship. So you have to find a way to keep people engaged. You could do stretch goals. Some people create fake stretch goals where they'll take a bunch of stuff away and then they'll give it back to you during the campaign. They're kind of tricky to manage because if you don't plan them right, you can either A, hit them all on the first day and then you're still having to come up with new stuff for later in the campaign, or vice versa. You're too aggressive on the financial goal you have to hit to unlock those things. Then you kind of have egg on your face because you're going to give it to people anyways, but now you're at the end of the campaign, you've missed like 8 of your stretch goals and you have to say, surprise, we're going to give it to you anyways. So it's kind of a weird thing. I'm not a fan of stretch goals. We haven't done them on the last few campaigns, and we don't intend to do them going forward. First day incentives are good because that helps kind of stick those pledges on the first day. And then I just want to do reveals. So we'll have the make the game as best we can, and then we're going to announce cool stuff throughout the campaign to keep the conversation going. So one of the things that we announced, and let me just take this off so I got my face. One thing we announced right out of the gate that we've been now kind of seeding out about every 3-4 days is what we're calling Cities of Venus Chronicles. So we've got like a story that we've created, and there's a little series of little short stories around the people that they're living in the city, in this environment. The first one was about this engineer, and it was her first day kind of on the job, and she's looking for the cloud drops in her city. She's trying to grab a cloud drop, and this particular drop has immigration listed on the side. She's so excited, and she sees the canister open and puts the decompression code in, and she can see the pods emerge from the smoke, and then she goes through the sequence to kind of wake them up, and then she starts touring them at the station. It's kind of her day in the life of what like a drop would look like for the city. The second one we did was about, unfortunately, an event, right? And we put these in sequence. So the first one is a drop, and that's the first step in our game. Second step in each round is resolve events. So the second story we have, we're resolving event. This event, a piece of kind of a lost canister hits the city and punches a hole right in the department that's responsible for food and water. So that short story is about this person trying to rush to his friend to see what's going on. And his friend is the lead engineer in that department, and he's rushing to try to fix these things and seal them off so they don't lose all their water and air, because that would kill everybody. And they have to split up, right? And the one guy has to go the one direction to get people to safety. The other guy stays behind. And by the time the other guy gets back, of course, his friend dies, right? His friend ultimately sacrificed himself for the city. And so it's a little bit of a sad story, but again, it's there to highlight how rough this environment would be. So the next story, you can probably guess when you go back to the phases we just went through. The first one was the drop. The next story is going to be, is it about dropping shields? So we got shields. Yeah. So the next one's going to be shields, right? So there's going to be a story on the shields, and we'll have one about the population growing and innovation and so forth. So we're really, really excited by these stories. And again, we're going to turn them into probably a digital graphical novel. And like each of them have like an image from the game that goes with the story. And we'll just give that to everybody. Will we print it at some point? Maybe down the road. There's so many ideas we have for stories. Even people putting their comments on our Kickstarter page here gave us a lot of great ideas of things we can kind of explore. The one was sports. I'm going to talk about that in a second because we love the idea. And Adam and I agreed we found a way we're going to incorporate the sports into the game like a sports event. So I'll talk about that in a second. So quickly, the solo mode. Solo mode is actually a prequel to the multiplayer. So this is like 20 years before. And this one, a catastrophe has happened on one of the cities. And you are the one lone survivor in that city. You've called Earth for help. And while you wait for Earth to help, your job is to keep that city floating and keep it from crashing to the surface. And so you have to try to rebuild that city. And it's a win-lose condition. So either you win by achieving what you need to achieve by the time Earth arrives, help from Earth arrives, or you don't. And you've basically killed your city. And so we've got the draft of that, which plays quite well. And then we've brought Joe Slack in. He's a very prolific game designer. He's did Relics of Raj'Alahara. I can never say the last name of that game, but he's created a lot of puzzly kind of solo games. And so we've tapped his talents to help us just kind of do the final polishing on that. And there's going to be different objectives and so forth within the game. So, of course, there's a win-lose condition plus trying to achieve certain objectives. And those will change every time you play. And they'll be randomized, which would be kind of cool so that, there's some incentive to keep coming back, right? Because it's going to be a new experience every time you come back. And then that fits thematically in our overall story of Cities of Venus. Pledge levels, very quickly, uber premium game. We're only launching premium levels, so it comes with a Stitch Neoprene mat, comes with 4 mining mechs. These dice mechs just help you keep track, quite frankly, of whether you've paid the resources required to mine. It's not malicious, but sometimes people forget, and when they do, that could be a difference between 1 or 2 points at the end of the game. And this game usually ends with the top 2 players being within 1 or 2 points of each other. So it's very important that everyone actually has a proper score. We've got 4 quad layer boards. So the quad layer boards, we absolutely love. We got a lot of feedback on it. And this is even the handmade prototypes from the factory. But we're going to linen finish these because it'll make them a little scuff resistant. I think it'll kill some of the reflection on it too, which I think will make it look better on the table. They're playing with other materials too they're fairly straight this way, like the actual board itself is fairly straight. However, some of the pockets, you can see how that kind of lifts up like that. So we're playing with different materials to see if we can get it so that happens less. And then these little windows are going to be circular so that there's no resistance when the cards go in at all, even if there is warping. So this essentially allows you to do this with your cards, right? So you can put your card, it's almost impossible to do this in reverse on a camera. You put your card in. And what it does is it changes the capacity, which is what that is there. Capacity changes in the department. And your victory points are there. And then whatever the power you have will show up through this window if there's a power to that card. And these cards slide in all the different departments. We're actually going to add 2 windows up here too. So there's going to be a window added here. And we're going to add a window over here as well. So these 2 departments are going to have windows. So we're going to be able to add extra powers there. There's going to be an upgrade for each, at least 3 upgrades for each department, in addition to the other upgrades we have. Read. Solo mode sounds great. Also love that you're going deluxe only. Why complicate things? Most people go deluxe anyway. That's a good point. Here's the one thing I know is you can never make everybody happy. It is impossible, right? So on the same day, our second day that we launched, I had one group of people getting mad that I didn't have stretch goals. Then I had another group of people getting mad at me that we had a day 1 incentive and they clump that in with people that do stretch goals. And they're dead set against that. So I got 2 groups mad at me for completely polar opposite things. So you got to try to figure out where is the bulk of people going to be happy. With this game, we really wanted it to be something that's going to last for many years to come. And that the playability can be played over and over and over again. Part of our plans after we launch this game is we will be coming out with new card packs so people can refresh their game, which will have new things and really kind of make a different experience. And because there's so many components with this game, there's so many things that we've thought of. that we could have as add-ons that require nothing to be added to the game. So there's some things that we're probably going to seed out even just electronically to keep letting people know, hey, here's something that we want, something you could try as a fun little thing when you're playing this game next. So the goal is because the components are super premium, we want this game to kind of last for quite a while. Premium components for me was key. Not only is it cool for table presence, but I really want to make sure people are getting their value for their dollar. And so that's, it's not a cheap game, clearly. But we want people, when they buy this and then they open up the box, to be like, wow, I actually got my money's worth when I bought this game. All right, so I'll get off my soapbox. So we got the neoprene stitched mats. We have the quad layer boards, as I said. Here's a video of the quad layer boards. You can see the cards slide into every department. So there's 6 different departments that these cards slide into. This took us the longest to do. It was the one thing that we knew right from the out of the gate that we wanted to have as part of this game. So as soon as we came up with the idea, right away we're like, okay, this game has to have a board that you're physically upgrading. You're sliding stuff in, and it feels like you're actually building onto it, almost like in BattleTech, where you're physically adding things onto your mech. So that was for sure we want to have it out of the gate. And this took a lot longer than I thought it was going to be to figure it out. I thought I could just say to the factory, hey, this is what I want to do, and they would just go and come back with like a prototype. Nope. We had to do the design on this end and all the die lines and trial and error on this end, and then send those to the factory. Say, okay, here you go. Here's the finished things to work on, and then a lot of trial and error with them for them to get it right. But we got the boards working, and they work awesome. And that's quite frankly one of the biggest highlights of the entire game. Everybody that's reviewed this game, that's the one thing that they are consistently unanimous on, is that they love how well these boards have turned out. Cards, 86 cloud drop cards, 22 event cards, 24 innovation cards. As I said, right now we got a lot of duplicates right now. So in our innovation cards, there's like 3 of each. Our events, there's like 3 of each event. That was for our prototype version that we had for the reviewers, because at some point you have to cut the artwork off because artwork's very expensive. For the final game, that only represented about 60% of the variety we're going to have. So the final game is going to have a lot more events and things like that. So I can do that without even adding more cards, because we do have duplications in some of these decks currently. We'll have less duplication when we get to the final game. We have these mini player boards. These are where you put each person has one, you put your meeples on there. This represents you send them off, your best and brightest, to the International Innovation Station. Each game comes with 200 VNaughts. Excuse me. The reviewers version had 150. And which is a lot. But what we wanted to do is, I didn't want to have any scenario where if the perfect game was played, that you would run out of VNaughts. And the perfect game would be literally all 4 players max out their board, max out their innovation, and then all have innovation upgrades that allow them to place even more VNaughts onto their city. This has never happened once in the entire time I've played this game, ever. Even come close to this scenario. But in case that scenario does ever happen, we want to make sure that we're covered. So yeah, you're getting way more VNaughts than you need, but you get 200 VNaughts in this game. They're really cool. They are painted silver, and they have little helmets. I'll show you on the... So their faces are painted on both sides, so they're double-sided. It's a 2-color print, and it's tough to see on camera, but that's actually a little metallic ink, which is really, really cool. They sit on the board either laying down, or people can even stand them up like this on their board. I've seen different people play different styles. It's really a personal preference. Okay, so then we've got acrylic gems. There's 135 of those. We got 4 marble dice. We've got a rocket-shaped resource bowl, and we got 3 volcano trays. These all come in the box. I do have samples here. So on the page, we have pictures of the 3D prints that we had done, because we didn't actually have the molds done. But we've actually prepaid for these molds. So these are already ready to go, the molds. And we had these made for all the reviewer copies. So this is the mold of the rocket tray. And then we also have the molds of these volcano trays for the gems, for the V-Knight, which is essential to the running of the city and your mechs. Rule book. It's a draft rule book, 8 pages right now. Again, you can download it right off of our Kickstarter page or off the Tabletop Simulator page. We're going to go with probably 12 pages on this, just to incorporate all the additional references and images and so forth to show how to play the game. But right now it's a pretty streamlined book. The last 2 pages, quite frankly, is just a science of going to Venus. It's based on real science, actually. And I can get into that in a little bit if people are interested, but it's pretty cool. I think we should probably be focusing at least half of the world's space focus that's going to Mars. I think half of those people should be focused on us trying to get to Venus and try to go after both planets at the same time. There really is a lot, Venus has a lot going for it. Spot UV on the box, as well as inside lid printing. 2 additional mining mechs for the 6-player version. You get another 24 cloud drop cards, 8 event cards, 16 innovation cards. These are unique to the 6-player game. You get 50 additional VNaughts, 2 additional marbled dice. You get another rocket resource tray, so you got 2 of those, 3 more of the volcanoes, so you have 6 volcanoes in total, 2 more quad layer boards, 2 more mini player boards. We got a little handy chart here for people so you can compare and contrast between the 2 different pledge levels. It's roughly 110, it's not roughly, it's exactly 110 more components in the 6-player version than in the 4-player version. Add-on is the first player mini marker that we have, $750 US. They look super cool. My niece, who's very, very talented at painting minis, painted this one for me. I think it looks super awesome. So it's the first player marker. It's very, very handy. What I found is that you should probably spring for the first player marker. If not, then pull a coin. Some people use like a D20 die. Most people have something they have in their game bag as they use as a first player marker, but for sure you should have first player marker just so you don't lose track. And then we've got tons of videos, how to play videos in 3 languages. We've got Italian, French, and English. We've got preview videos. These videos kind of give you an overview of the game and how to play the game. And then we have our review section with our reviewers, giving you the good, bad, and the ugly. And Harry Gamelords one and Gaming with Enos are the 2 different ones that I added today. Harry Gamelords is a funny video to watch. If you get a chance to follow those guys, their content, they are awesome. They're a hoot to watch. But they had a lot of fun with this game, which is awesome. Then I took little snippets from all of our different reviewers. I reviewed the game, tried to cover off all the different aspects so you get a good kind of swatch of what this game is about and the highlights of what you would probably love about this game. Our team members, we got myself, we got Adam. I can see Adam just joined in the lobby as well, my design partner. We got our first officer navigation, Daniel Kuna, who's our illustrator or artist, working hard on the next batch of artwork. We got Marco. He helped with the kind of the frames around all the cards and things like that. Stephen Hill. I'm not sure if he's still in the lobby, but he was here earlier. He's our rule scrubber. He's also working on one of the prequels for this game. I'll talk about that in a second. And then we've got Caitlin Summers, who's our social media person, who also helped in building this page. Localization. We're always looking for localization deals. Anybody that is interested if anybody is watching from another country and they want to take this game to market, just click this button, you fill out the form, and we'd love to chat with you. We've started working on what the retail version could look like already. In case there isn't localization deals, we'll do it ourselves. But I can assure you that this, what you see on this page, is exclusive to Kickstarter. I've watched a couple videos, reviewer videos, not necessarily reviewer videos, more kind of the weekly roundup of here's what's on Kickstarter, or should you back it or not back it. I've seen some of these videos, and I've heard at least 2 of them say, well, it's coming, when it comes out on retail, it might be cheaper. So I actually had to put in the comments of those guys, it's like, this isn't coming out on retail. This version, I've had 3 retailers and a distributor reach out to me saying, we'd love to sell Cities of Venus. So, well, what's the retail price? What's the distributor price? And I had to politely say, we're not offering it to retail, and we're not offering it to distributors. This is a Kickstarter only. If you are not getting this on Kickstarter, you're probably not getting the game. You might be able to get it secondhand off somebody, or if you find us at one of the cons that we're at, we're going to be at Origins this year. You can do maybe a pre-order there. Those are the only places you can get it directly from us. The retail version that we're working on, we've stripped way back in order to make this even hit an MSRP that would work at retail. No neoprene mat, no quad layer player boards, no dice mechs, no resource trays. It's literally going to be cards, gems, single layer player boards. So your cards have to sit on top. They won't slide in all cool like the ones we have. That we can do it for retailers. So if people just want to play the game and they don't care about all the bells and whistles, the holy shit package, as we call it, then there'll be a version like that that'll come out at some point. But we are 100% going to be controlling that. Too many times I've seen Kickstarters lately. There's 2 that I personally backed where I grabbed the premium version of the game, waited a long time to get that, and then our local game store had pre-ordered a bunch of copies, and they were selling the same game. And I would have been cheaper had I waited and just got it from the retailers. So I know how that made me feel, which wasn't good. So I definitely didn't want this to happen to the people that helped support us and help us get this game to market and support us with this dream we have. So the retail version is going to be stripped down big time. It is not going to be this version. If you want this version of the game, we need your support during the campaign. And we hope you will support us because we've got a lot of cool stuff coming in addition to what we've already announced. So that is Cities of Venus. I'm going to talk really quickly about where we're going from here. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments. It's always tough to tell with the comments how many people we've got. Like, I think 90 people here. I'm not sure how many are still watching. Give us a thumbs up if you're still watching. If not, I'll just cut the feed. I don't know if anybody's watching. If you're watching, give me a thumbs up if you don't mind. If you're on TikTok, please give us a follow. Could use the followers. Really appreciate it. Okay, so what's next? As part of this whole Cities of Venus world, our goal is really to have content on this seed out over the next 10 years. That's our plan. And it's not just like, hey, it'd be cool to do some other stuff. Like we actually have a mapped out plan of what we want to do. So the first thing we're going to do, as I said, is after this game comes to market, then we'll have like refresh decks that we're working on. And as long as there is an interest in having people refresh, like enough people saying, yeah, I want another set of cards I can add to my game, then we'll keep doing it. And that would probably be directly through pre-order from our website. And we'll reach out to everybody that's a backer in the game and say, hey, FYI, this is available. Let us know. Because they're small, we can ship them straight from China. They'll be in a small box. That'd be the cheapest way to ship them, and we can keep that cost fairly low. After that, the next campaign that we're going to run after Cities of Venus ships, so we won't run this until we're shipping Cities of Venus. We have other campaigns coming on our other games. Is we have a campaign called Survivors of Venus. And Survivors of Venus is essentially when the mechs go down to the surface to do the mining. So that's these guys here. Again, another one my niece painted. She did a great job. Let me put the little miner in there. These guys go down to the surface. In the current game, it feels like it's a one-way trip because you're having to pay the resource to mine. But the story continues. And in fact, for some, it wasn't a one-way trip. And for some of them, when they got down to the surface, they saw, do I have the card here? I do. They start finding these pods, right, that have landed on the surface. So these are cards you didn't claim. So they go to the surface in the current game. Well, in the continuation of the story, these are scattered on different parts of the surface. So the game that's coming after this as a sequel is going to be a polyomino game. And you are a mech trying to mine, right, and create tunnels and create paths to try to get to find these different pods and basically find survivors on Venus. In addition to that, you're having to mine, so there's kind of a constant commerce part to it of Venite to further power your mech to be able to explore even further. You're also trying to unlock parts that you find, mechanical parts, machine parts from the city that has fallen to the surface and so forth, to cobble together an escape pod. And the ultimate goal is that once each person is contributing to this escape pod, once all the pieces are assembled, you're able to ascend with the survivors back up to your city and basically rescue everybody. The person with the most points will be the winner of the game. And that's kind of similar to our current game, as the person with the most points ends up winning the game. So that's how that story continues on. Then we also have a prequel, which is called Architects of Venus. As I mentioned with Stephen Hill, who was in the lobby earlier, he's been working on this for quite some time. And the game is solid. And it's a roll and write. And so what I'm still struggling with is whether we're going to launch that as a print and play. So if we do kind of like a pre-order print and play, where we reach out to all the people who have backed this game and said, hey, by the way, while you wait for this, so maybe in 7-8 months, We have a print and play that, for X number of dollars, and we'll try to make it affordable, maybe $10 or whatever. We have a print and play where you can play Architects of Venus, which is all around the design of these boards, right? The design of these cities, and kind of competing to, have the kind of the best design of your city, the most efficient design of your city through this roll and write. We're either going to do it in between, so before we deliver this game, as kind of a way to keep people interested in the story, or we'll create an actual production copy of it, probably wipeable boards. I'm not a big fan of kind of like tear and throw out. So boards that you can like wipe and replay. And then that would be an add-on during Survivors of Venus, and would ship with that game, and then could potentially even fit right in the box if you want. Somebody had come up with a comment on our stream, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, where it says there's going to be a big box to hold the series. And I thought that was a brilliant idea. So we're probably going to do that as well. As like when we finally have the third kind of version out, we're going to have a big box, and a big box to hold kind of the whole Cities of Venus series, which I think could be really awesome. So we know that there's enough here that we can create quite a bit of content. Our one goal that Adam and I definitely agree on is that we want to make sure that we're not just doing kind of like those games, and I know we all have these games where you'll get the expansion and it doesn't really add anything to the gameplay. The gameplay is pretty much exactly the same, but you spent money on expansion that didn't really enhance the game at all. It was just an excuse to kind of sell more copies. We don't want to do that. Any game that we bring in this series will be prequels or sequels, and they're going to be standalone. So you can play these games without owning any of the other games. They are standalone games, but they will have a very consistent theme. Right, so there'll be V-Night will appear across these different games. There's going to be, the idea of these mining mechs will extend across these games. The cities themselves, the planet Venus, all this is going to extend across, our Cities of Venus story. And we're really excited about that. And the more unique games we can come up with, the better, right? So we've got Roll and Write that's going to be part of the series. We've got a Polyomino that'll be part of the series. Who knows? Maybe we'll even have like a social deduction part, like Reed. He's a master of social deduction with Paranoia Rising Games. But maybe we'll do something like that, social deduction. I don't know. But we'll have different types of games that we're going to do in this series. So that's my stream for tonight, guys. It's 10 after 11. I promised myself I wasn't going to go too far. Thank you so much. If you join me, please, if you're still listening, if you're on TikTok, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Instagram, give me a follow. I really appreciate it. Absolutely could be very grateful for the followers. Check out the campaign, Kickstarter.com, Cities of Venus. Check out the page. Let me know what you think in the comments, and stay tuned for the next stream.